Hello, my name is Mike Michaud. My company is MTM Custom Woodworks, and today I'm going to show you how I take sticks like these, cut blocks like these, glue those blocks into rings like these, glue those rings into bowls like this, and make beautiful segmented bowls like this. To cut my blocks, I'm going to use a miter jig on my table saw. I've got my miter jig set at 22.5 degrees. I'll make a 8-sided bowl with that. I have my saw fence set up with a safety block. What this safety block does is after I move these boards beyond that safety block, it gives a little space out here so the blocks don't bind with the saw fence and get thrown back at me. To glue up the rings, I use a type 3 water resistant glue. Apply it to both ends. Slap it around with another block. Make sure both ends are well covered. I use a band clamp to clamp it all together. And there we have a glued up ring. After removing the rings from the clamps, I take them to my drum sander to smooth out both sides. After applying the glue to the rings, I place the bowl in the clamps and tighten them down. To mount my bowl to the lathe, I've glued a scrap block onto the bottom. I found the center of that bowl. I then place my faceplate over the center and then use my screws to screw it down. To mount the bowl to the lathe using the faceplate, I bring it in, tighten it down, then I bring the tailstock up to the bowl and tighten it down to provide additional support while I'm turning the outside first. I've completed cutting the outside. I'm now going to move to cut the inside. I've finished cutting the bowl. Now it's time to sand it. I start out with a power sander with the locking disc. I start out with a 80 grit sanding disc. After I finish with the 80 grit, then I go to 120 grit. After the 120 grit, I then finish it off the sanding with 220 grit, 320 grit, and then 400 grit sandpaper. I finished sanding it down to 400 grit sandpaper. It's time to apply the finish. I use a food grade beeswax as a finish. While it's turning, I apply 2 coats of the beeswax, let it sit overnight, and then the next morning speed up the lathe, polish it off, and part it off from the waste block, and then hand sand the bottom. My name is Mayo. My website is mtmcustomwoodworks.com. This is the mess that I've made turning this gorgeous segmented bowl. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact me through my website.